Good morning, Rat Finks. We got another day on the F100. Let's walk inside. I'll show you what we're doing. We need to get the rear suspension on this modified so that we can drop this thing about 4 inches. Yeah, we want to get this thing looking like a little hot rod truck and not a work truck. So we've got a kit to do that. We're going to be removing these perches right here. We're going to change this whole setup right here to a much more simple design. And in order to get all this out, we need to remove this perch right here, and we need to take the shocks off, remove the drive shaft, and we're basically going to take the whole thing out with the leaf springs attached to the axle. So Dad's already been chopping away at the rivets that hold this perch on. We're gonna start undoing some bolts and get some jack stands underneath it, and we'll get this thing out.
And I know you don't like the idea. Jack this up, take the front off, put the front on. Take the back off, put the back off, remove the jack. Then it's up in the air. We don't have to be on the ground.
Yeah, that works. I just don't know if we're gonna fight it.
You don't have to lift it off or do anything. All you're doing is you're just propping it here. It's connected there.
Yeah.
You can lower this a little bit to get it out of the way.
That's a smart move. Less work, no drive shaft off. A lot faster. Let's do that. Okay, I have the pieces to our kit here. Here is the rear shackle. This guy would sit back here and basically replace all of these pieces right there, and that lives like that. And for our front, we have this whole shackle hanger assembly. This will end up sitting and raising this point up a lot higher. So we'll start tearing this stuff apart, and you guys can see exactly what I mean once we get it off. Real quick, I wanted to share with you these installation instructions. With both sides of your truck elevated on jack stands, tires off ground. Doing both left and right sides, loosen and remove the shackle bolts and remove the stock shackle. Install your new shackles. Tighten the bolts to about 65 foot-pounds. Remove the jack stands, you're ready to go. They don't tell you what any of the parts are, which way to put them, nothing. And I don't even know who makes this kit, so let's get this apart and you guys see what we're talking about.
Okay, now you pry out. I'm coming down a little bit with this spring. Boom, suck it, Trebek. And look at the amount of time you just saved.
Yeah.
The sooner you understand I'm never wrong, the better your life is going to be. Dylan, come over here.
No, I'm just kidding. Bop and Dylan have been busy. We got this bracket cut off right here, and the new one going in on this side into place. And we have the rear shackle in, and he's just slowly bringing that up with the pole jack. Hey, Big D, is your life flash before your eyes just now?
A little bit.
He was over here grinding these guys off. And I think one of the bolt heads finally let go. And
shot out at my head, and then like a bunch of sparks shot out. It just kind of like shocked me because it's like, oh, you don't expect when you're grinding everything just right at you.
Oh, you should always expect it.
Okay, well, I don't normally do
this crap. So. Here's our old shackles and our old mount right there.
Boom. Ooh. That's it. She's off.
The Pro at his finest. Now we just need to get that 7/8 bolt out. Okay, he got that bracket in. It looks mighty fine. So we're gonna end up welding that in once we know we like where it's at. But this side, we kind of had a suspicion that this wasn't gonna work. It was gonna hit. And it's actually not hitting right now.
No, but there's no weight
on it.
Oh,
once you put weight, yeah.
What happens when I put weight on it?
Once you put the weight of the vehicle on it, it bottoms out. But
just cut this right here.
Yeah, we might just notch that. We'll see.
It's already got holes in it.
Yeah.
Just notch it and
In it.
In it.
in it.
In it.
In it.
In it.
Just in it. INNIT.
So let's just try it and see what happens. If we need to, we'll notch that crap.
I think that's a good call.
We got Nufu and D back here, and they are pressing the new bearings onto the rear drive shaft. And got a good little setup here. On the rig, we've got the new brackets in and the new shackles in the back. Made a couple of brackets to hold our exhaust back on. I'm gonna clean this mounting surface up and get the new seal put in for this rear shaft. We're pulling this rear axle seal. We're gonna replace it. I don't know if this tool's gonna get the job done.
Just need a bigger pry bar.
Get a bigger hammer. That's what one of my teachers said in school. Oh, you guys are kind of dirty. Here. There we go.
That was a Nick flash. And then for the views.
Oh yeah. For some reason that's very satisfying.
That should be pretty good. Now, Big D has the special tool in hand. It is a 1 7/8" socket on a 3/4 inch drive extension. And here's our seal right here. And let's verify it fits actually before we put it in. I'm gonna grab some gear oil right here. I know it's dirty, but it's better than nothing. So don't put it on dry. If we come down here, oh yeah, that fits great. Nice and snug like a bug in a rug. Okay, so we know that's right. Should fit inside here. And this is pushing on the outside edge of this, which is the strongest part of the seal. You should hear a change in the tone as it's going in. There it is. Here I got deeper. That means it's in, like sin. Up close and personal. Yee! Live action. Hold up.
I think you're gonna need
I'm
something.
missing a piece.
Yes.
Oh, you're just teasing the axle with that.
Okay, almost forgot. We have a retaining plate right here. Don't want to forget that. That goes on like this. Yeah. The other ones we can put on once it's in place. You gotta lift it as you go in. Now I don't remember exactly, but I think it goes.
Today's video is sponsored by Los Pollos Hermanos. No, we're not sponsored by them, sadly.
And the bracket goes on like that. Now I need all my hardware to put it together, which I don't have. Getting these bolts snugged in. Thankfully they have this little hole that you can fit through the axle face to tighten them, which is really nice. Thank you, Ford, for thinking of us common people.
So here's what we've done. We put on all of these adapters that this kit came with. It's a very nice setup, really slick. But you can see how the brackets and all that stuff come together over in this area. And then it comes with this little black ring that fits over the hub, so that when you put your rotor on, it just fits perfect. I mean, look how clean and neat that is. No gap, no space, just really well thought out. Looks great.
I don't know if I mentioned it, but with our disc brake conversion kit, one of our biggest problems are these front spindles. So neither myself nor the customer who ordered the parts paid close enough attention to realize that this kit that we're using that has these crazy quad piston aluminum calipers right here. Look at those sexy things. Look at that. There's 4 pistons in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. That these guys, in order to put them on and in order for the bracketry to work, you have to have drum brake spindles. And we have right here disc brake spindles. because somebody swapped disc brake spindles onto this 70, because 70s didn't usually come with them. So I've been searching for a while, for about a week and a half, for some drum brake spindles, and I found one on eBay and I bought it, but that's for the driver's side. I need one for this passenger side. And through the customer and one of their neighbors, we were able to find somebody who has a bunch of old Ford trucks. It's a body shop over in Nampa. So I'm going to head over there tomorrow morning and see if I can snag this passenger side spindle. Man, if we could grab that, that would be amazing to be able to get these front brakes at least mocked up on one side of the front. That would be so awesome. That guy out. That guy out. Take this the rest of the way off. I think I have to tap that guy out. There we go. See that trick, guys? You put your nut back on, give it a whack, and she goes. You guys want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? Ooh, that's ear splitting. Get my punch, tap this guy the rest of the way out. Yep, it's moving. These kingpins feel like they're pretty good, guys. Let's slide this guy off. And just like that, guys, that is how you remove a spindle off of a Ford F100. Guys, I got the knuckles. I got one from eBay right here in really good shape. And I got the other one from these guys at an auto body shop in Nampa. And I had some of the footage on my phone. I might include it, I might not. But it was basically me there for almost 4 hours with a MAP gas torch and a sledgehammer and a broken knuckle, basically. I was hammering on this thing forever. And I want to show you guys just why it's so difficult. So, if you see this kingpin right here, you look at that. Look how discolored and rusty and gnarled it is on this end versus this other used kingpin that was in the one that came from me from eBay. Now watch this pin right here. The eBay pin will slide right in through the knuckle it came through. No problem. You can push it through with your fingers. It's not too bad. Look at that, all the way through. Minimal effort. The pin from the one at the auto body shop doesn't even start. It is so nasty, so decorroded. Not to mention, I wasn't even able to get this brake drum off. I wasn't able to get the drum off. I wasn't able to get these bolts out. Everything was fighting me because I didn't have this guy. Yeah, if I had had this there, it would have been done in 2 seconds. So we're going to do what should have been done there. And that is cut that brake drum off. Being extra safe, guys, got a welding hood and gloves so that I don't have any of these sparks fly on me. Change of plans, guys. I'm going to heat it so that it expands and then knock the thing off. Oh, this is awkward. A little bit of pneumatic air hammer assistance might come in handy. Adjusting brake shoes with an air impact hammer is pretty good. Oh, there we go, guys. Finally. Do you know how nice that would have been if that had happened at the freaking auto body shop? Oh, I could have gotten so much more room for activities. Now I can get to the back side of the nuts that are holding this brake backing plate to the hub, and then I'll be pretty much there other than cleaning it up. So I want to show you guys just what's going on and why I went through all this trouble to get these knuckles. So the biggest piece to this whole puzzle for these brake kits is that right there. That guy. This is the bracket that bolts to this front drum knuckle to give us disc brakes in the front. That's what lets us run those awesome 4-piston calipers. Now, check this out though. This truck had already had disc brake spindles swapped onto it like this. This is where the caliper would ride right here. And look, there are some bolt holes on here, but they're way smaller and they're not in the right spot for this bracket to go on. The this would never work. You could never run this kit on this spindle right here. So we had to go get those ones. I'm gonna get this stuff onto the car and you're gonna see how these brakes look on this sweet new rig. Let's check it out. One of the things we got old Pop's doing is cleaning up this brake booster right here. Kit didn't come with a new one. You have to pay a little more for one, so we're cleaning this one up. It worked good. He wire wheeled it pretty good. We're gonna slap some paint on it and make her look good. Up underneath the car, I've been doing some stuff. As you can see, I've removed the transmission pan. It was leaking really bad. We were leaving big old puddles underneath here. And one of the things that I'm suspicious of is this seal right here. That seal up in there is the shift linkage seal. There's actually an O-ring and an impregnated metal rubber seal. Both of those were leaking pretty bad out that side, so we're gonna have to take that apart, which means we're gonna have to take off the valve body to get access up in here to remove that stuff. So I will pull that stuff off and we'll get at it. Now, since I've got Dad and Dylan helping me out today, I've got some other stuff we're doing too. We got Big D with his earmuffs over here, rocking out to nothing. Just no music in there, nothing. It's just silence. He's cleaned this off for us and got all the shipping oil off of it. We're gonna bring this outside. You want to plop that down on the cardboard? Yes. So we have the old manifold. This is the passenger side. That's the driver. But here you can see this old nastiness, that crack that was in it. And we're gonna have him paint that for us real quick. I don't want this to flash rust. They always rust as soon as you put them on. So we're gonna put some of this high heat Rust-Oleum coating on and see how she looks. So I'm gonna show him kind of how I like to paint. He can keep doing the other coats. So first things first, look at my cool paint mixer, guys. Ooh. Yeah, you put this assembly into your Sawzall, and you strap her in for a nice fun ride, and you just give her heck. Oh! 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 Okay, but here's the trick, guys. If you look at this, you can see how this strap has like melted here. You cannot go, it says right here, severe injuries can occur as a result of high-speed use. So operate at low speed only. So they don't want you to go like this. Because look, see it tore the can? Yeah, you'll fling that thing out. So that sucks. That had all my instructions on it. No, it didn't. That was the safety stuff. Okay, so watch this, guys. About like that. Get your paint mixed real good. We'll take her out of her roller coaster ride strap. And about 6 to 8 inches away, the light coat, about like that. Okay, so that's about what I like to do, a coat like that. This thing back here, guys, sneak peek, this is something cool that we'll do. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but this is for the future. So the future is now, old man. Okay, we'll let Big D slap another coat of paint on this in a couple of minutes, and then I'll show you my oven setup that we got going to cure this stuff, because it is supposed to cure I'll show you the hemorrhoids. This guy's crazy. I'll give you the paint. Okay, if we go inside, you'll see this procedure for curing right here. So we have bake it for 30 minutes at 250, let it cool for 30 minutes, bake it for 30 minutes at 400, let it cool for 30, and then bake it for 30 minutes at 600. Guess what? I've already done the first bake of the other side, so let's go see my oven setup. Put a timer on your phone for like 2 minutes and then hit it with another coat, just like you saw how I did it. Yeah. It's not like super hypercritical, because it's so porous that it won't look bad if you get a run.
Oh, that was a pea.
Super porous? Did you? He's like, I'm like, it's super. I'm talking to him about painting and not making a mistake. It doesn't matter. It's porous. That cast iron is super porous. And he says, ah, that's what they called my ex-wife. Oh, you said porous with a P. I thought you said. Kid's funny, man. He's always been a hoot. I think he's like 7 years.
Sounds like my ex-wife.
No, he's 10 years younger than me. I just remember him as a kid, as like a 5 and 6 year old. Was just the funniest freaking kid ever. I'll have to put some pictures of us up. So check it out. Here's my oven, guys. That's right, I'm cooking my parts up crystal meth style with a propane burner down at the bottom. Got my big old, what is this, a 50-gallon? A 50-pounder? Got my big old 50-pounder right here. And I have a smoker on top of the burner. I'll disassemble and show you guys. Oh, that's still warm. Still warm. But she's ready for another shot. Let me grab some gloves. Okay, so this has already been in at 250 for about 30 minutes. Right here. I'll show you guys my setup right here. If you look at this, it's just a master-built smoker that doesn't have the lava bowl at the bottom with the heating element. I just have the burner, the propane burner underneath it. And then you have this first half of the stack right here. And I put my bowl in like this to kind of disperse the heat so it's not directly on that part. And then my lid, like this. Now you might ask, why am I going through all this trouble to heat this thing? It's really critical for the longevity of that paint for it to cure at the right heat range and for the right amount of time, because that stuff will just flake right off if you just slap it on and run it with the car. They have instructions for it to run it on the car and to cure it, but this procedure is by far the best. So let's get her ripping. Got that. Turn our gas on slightly. Get some flow right there. She lit. There we go. We got our temperature gauge right there. Don't remember what I'm supposed to go to. I'll put it on the screen for the second shot. First shot, remember, is 30 minutes at 250. The second shot is... What are you guys doing in here? Getting high off paint fumes? Sounds like you are.
We were just talking about
La Chona?
bloopers.
We were talking about possibility of putting like 20-second blooper things at the end of the videos.
Yeah?
And everything's about dogs.
not that.
Oh my gosh. That looks pretty good. So guys, this is one of our favorite types of paint. Want to bring that over? This is hammered black.
I'm hammered drunk.
If you get the reference, put it in the comments. So hammered black paint, it has this texture to it as it dries that we really like, and it's really durable and
it dries fast.
Yeah, it dries now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back over and see what our temperatures are, because I need to know what to put my thing to. Okay, so 30 minutes at 250, let it cool for 30 minutes. 30 minutes at 400, let it cool for 30 minutes. And then 30 minutes at 600, and you're done. So let me go set that temperature, and we will throw that thing in. So I gotta get this thing up to 400, so I think I'm gonna crank her a bit. Okay, let's let that get up to temp and we'll slap that manifold in. Okay, I'm about to throw this guy in. We've got this thing preheated almost. We're almost to 400. Hey, you want to get that glove for me real quick?
Is that where my pencil's been? Oh, come on. I still want to use it. Here, give me a shot.
These guys.
These
guys.
Fresh.
Did you see what he just did?
Daisy fresh.
Oh my gosh.
That's not my pencil, by the way.
You
It's
see
not
what
even sharpened.
You see what I have to deal with? Okay, who wants to pull that off?
Not it.
Ooh. Man, it smells good too.
Mmm.
I feel like we should barbecue something.
Hold. So what I've jumped onto now is the rear brakes. Now, these things are freaking awesome. Check this out. We have got a single piston rear disc, but these things are drilled and slotted, and they are a double thick disc. Not like a lot of the rear discs on most cars, they're a single disc. You've got nice vented rotors in the back too. These things are gonna be sweet. And I've got the lines already hooked up. You can see this bracketry finalized in here. Works pretty well. One issue I'm dealing with though is that the steel brake lines on here are just almost long enough. Look at that, that's me pulling it as far as I can out of its thing. They just unfortunately won't work, so I'm gonna have to make new ones. I've got my setup over on the bench. You can see that in a minute, and we'll get to that. Now I know what you guys are all thinking. Oh, Nick, you can't use copper on brake lines. Don't worry, this is the nickel copper alloy. This stuff is approved by the NHRA, so if drag cars can run this stuff, I'm pretty sure this car can run this. So, yeah, I'll show you some of my equipment I got to do this. So, first things first, I have just a traditional tubing cutter right here. I use this knife to deburr the insides after I cut it. Right here's my tubing straightener. You need this guy because when it comes in a roll like that, you want to get it straight like that. Thankfully, this stuff's really soft and really easy to straighten out by hand, but this guy really helps dial it in all the way. The last thing I got for my brake system that is a life-changing tool that I just purchased is this turret-style tubing flare tool. And boy, I'll show you it in action right now. It beats the crap out of this kind over here. This is the kind that you would buy from most auto parts stores, and it is garbage. It's garbage. I just can't express enough on how much that stuff sucks, especially on steel lines. Steel lines, the tool doesn't work. So I'll show you this in action real quick. Okay, here we've got the turret flare tool in action. We have our 3/16 die, and I make sure I put it the correct way. There's a angled beveled portion for flare fittings and then a square portion for DIN fitting. Make sure that's the right way. We'll stick our tubing in there, 3/16. Make sure this sits in where it's supposed to. Lock our pin in. And before we clamp this down, we need to use Operation 0 to square everything up. If you had a flare on the other side, it would be really important to have this on already. So I don't. I'm going to put it on just out of practice. There we go. Okay, now we take our turret back. We go to Operation 1 on 3/16, and they actually ask you to lube the die up a little. So get our lubrication up in there. We'll get over and make sure it lines up well, and then do a slight flare in it like that. Just looking at the bubble, and I like the way it looks. I'm not going to go all the way. Then we switch over to Operation 2, 3/16 or 1/4 inch. It does both. Lube it up again. Make sure it lines in. And give her a slight ba-bam. Then we loosen our clamp. Take our pin out. Knock the die off of it. And boom. Check that out, guys. Such a beautiful looking flare. Not bad at all. I'm gonna do that one more time, but before I do that, I'm gonna put the line on the car and start kind of mocking it up to the original. I'll get that bent up, and then we'll put it on the car. Working on these brakes again, and I have got the master cylinder right here, and we have got our hose set up so that we can bench bleed this thing. We got a little bit of this Penison Super Dot 4 German brake fluid. That's right, German, so you know it's gonna work good. We got that in here, and we're gonna bench bleed this thing. So just take a screwdriver and slowly depress this. You can see the fluid moving through the lines, and you just go until you stop getting bubbles out of them. This table I'm using with the vise on it has casters that don't lock, so, and it's not heavy. So I should probably pick a different spot to do this. I might go over to the bench vise real quick. Okay, hood rats, we've got this brake master all bled. I've pumped it till I got no more bubbles. Now I need to get ready to put the booster, which is right over there. Gotta get that booster. I'm gonna mount that in first. But before that, I wanna finalize all these wires, get everything where it needs to go, pulled through. I do think we're gonna pull this, the Sniper EFI handset. We're gonna pull those wires through as well. You guys saw I was bleeding that brake master, and it turned out really good. Got it in, got our booster in, master in, hooking the lines up, getting ready to start bleed the system, and lo and behold, look what I got. See if you can see these behind me. Drip, drip, drip. Nice little puddle down there, and check this out. Bummer. So, wish I had known about that when I had the tank out, and I could have gotten to that really easily. Thankfully, I bought a 25-foot coil of this 3/16 Nicop brake line, so that's what we'll be pulling through there. We're gonna get this straightened out. We're gonna get our flares made. We'll get this thing roughed in, and I'm probably gonna leave the old line in place because I don't want to pull the fuel tank back out. Let's get going. Okay. If you guys didn't see it before, here's our straightening setup. Dad's got this coil unspooled right here. A little too tight. Yeah, there we go. That's not gonna make it perfect, and it's gonna be kind of hard with a line this long, but it's better than nothing. If this was a steel line, it would get a lot straighter and stay straighter, but we're just trying to get it generally roughed out. Yeah, that's more than enough for me. It's not really going to get much straighter than that because of being nickel and copper, but throw a little more tension on it. Got our nipple to plug the tip, keep it from getting all dirty. I think we should tape that on too, just for added security. I don't want dirt in my new brake line. Okay, we're gonna snake this thing through. Hopefully, we're gonna tape this. We're gonna tape this thing to some wire we've pulled through already. Okay, we got Bob taping this to some wire right here. I don't know if you can see it.
There we go. All right. You want to go pull or you want to push?
I'll pull.
Okay.
See if this works. That's the union we're trying to get to. So here's our wire. Well, we start by taking our old carburetor off. This one wasn't a functional one. It was just holding place while the other Holly got sent out. We bring this guy out of here. So here we got our Sniper instruction manual. Inside the box, what do we got? Ho ho! Inside the box, we got a nice, shiny Sniper 2. Because we've already put the Sniper 1 on, we've got some things that you guys that are doing this straight, you know, carburetor to Sniper 2 won't have. And that is the Sniper 1 harness. So they've given us an adapter harness that I believe is right here. And that guy looks like this right here. Because down on this side, you can see we've already got a lot of harness in. One of the biggest issues we ran into when doing this job is the kickdown cable, or actually the kickdown rod in this 1970 F100. If you don't know, the kickdown rod looks a little something like this guy right here. What the kickdown rod or kickdown cable does is it provides throttle position to a valve inside of the transmission, which helps it shift correctly, to my understanding. Now, this big old rod right here is really clunky. And when it's installed in its position inside the, you know, running down back here and coming up to here, it interferes in our instance with this mechanical throttle linkage right here. We found that this hole right here on the Holly Sniper gives us perfect throttle actuation. We can get full throttle and full closed throttle with just a slight adjustment here. So that hole right there. But if you have this guy in there, he will not hook up. He will bind with the linkage. It's just not a good spot to put it. So we go like this. See ya! And instead, we're gonna run this right here. This is a JEGS transmission kickdown cable that is for specifically the Ford C6s. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna give us a cable and some brackets. Instead of having that big clunky rod coming up through here that we're fighting, we'll have this nice sleek cable setup that will be able to be mounted to a bracket that we'll build about right here. And it'll bolt onto the throttle body right there with that little arm. And then we'll run it down to the transmission and it'll provide us all the kickdown cables that we need. That's gonna be a critical component to this job because it's kind of the most tricky mechanical issue you're gonna deal with as far as just bolting this thing up. Other than that, it sits right on. It's a, you know, it's a traditional throttle body base. So, I mean, it just comes right on and off. No big deal. There you can see the hole. We've placed it in a little better for this Ford FE application. We're gonna get some more connecting done. Show you right here, we've pulled switched ignition power out from the inside of the car. I'll show you where I connect that. And we've got it just hanging out ready to connect to this wire on our Sniper 1 was the switched ignition power right here. Okay, next up, when you're doing a Holley Sniper 2, you need to put a fuel pressure regulator in because the Sniper 1 had a built-in fuel pressure regulator, which was kind of nice, but if it ever failed, I don't know, maybe there's some longevity there. Holley provides this fuel pressure regulator right here. There's the part number. Part number 12882, and it's adjustable. Fuel pressure is supposed to be set to 55 to 65 PSI, which you control here. Your fuel pressure regulator always goes on your return side of your fuel system. It does not go on the supply side, it goes on the return. Now, when picking where you're gonna put it, it's critical that you take a couple of things into account. You're gonna most likely be putting this bracket here that holds this assembly somewhere on the firewall or a fender or, I don't know, through your valve covers if you're stupid. Wherever you're putting it, you want to make sure that you're not drilling into something important behind it. We've chosen to put it right here on the firewall. And I've looked behind here. We've looked behind here and verified that behind this firewall, we have at least that much real estate to work with. So she's going to go there. The second thing you want to take into consideration is, are you putting it on top of something that if it fails or leaks, it's going to catch on fire? So in our instance, we are kind of close to the exhaust manifold right here. But I'm not too worried because we're not dripping directly down over it. We're actually kind of back away from it a bit. So we should be good. If I wanted to be a little more cautious, I could kind of put it up over here more, but I like about this spot right here because we'll have the inlet that comes in here and goes up and in. I'm sorry, we'll have the return, which kind of comes like that, and the feed from the return line coming in over here. So we'll start getting this in and we'll show you what we mean by where we're gonna place it. We have our fuel pressure regulator installed. This is the return from the Holley Sniper, and this is the return back to the tank down there. We have our adapter harness because we are running a Sniper 1 to Sniper 2 right here. And nothing is finalized. These wires are all just sitting here. We have our switched ignition power wire right here. Inside the car, you can see where I pulled that switched ignition power from. Right there on the fuse blocks, that little terminal right there is switched ignition power. So I have a inline fuse holder on it, and then it runs up and through the firewall. I'll look up and put on the screen what that actual terminal is. I'll put it right up here. It's there. And you guys can see what that is. We've got the throttle lever hooked up. None of this stuff is finalized, guys, so stuff is kind of all over the place. I have the coolant temperature sensor, which has been installed right there, hooked up. Okay, it took us a while to figure out where we were gonna put this fuel pump. The customer initially had put it when they put the Sniper 1 in. They had put the pump right here on this frame rail, and I wasn't crazy about where it was. It was really far, had a really long tail. They want the Holly wants this fuel pump to only be about 2 feet away from the outlet of the tank. In our instance, you can see this drive shaft. It takes up all the real estate 2 feet away from the inlet of that tank. So unfortunately, we had to put it about 3.5 feet away, and it's living right there. We have the bracket that holds it in. You can see it clamped down. We have some of our wiring. We have some extra wiring. We left it pulled up. We're gonna zip tie it just in case we move this pump somewhere else. But we have our lines running through there. There you can see our post filter. We don't have the pre-filter in right now. We'll put it in later. There's our ground, one of our grounds for our fuel pump. Right there is our return line, guys. You can see it up at the top of the tank. It's directly above the fuel sending unit. So just for an idea where it's at. We went with the spot above the fuel sending unit because it was the easiest place to stick our grubby little hands and thread that adapter bung on. So yeah, that's where it is. You can see our fuel line. This is our supply line right here, and it runs along there. We're gonna end up getting some butyl tape to tape it to the tank so that it doesn't ever have the chance of rubbing against our drive shaft. And then it runs to there. Then we run over here, up in there. And keep in mind, guys, none of these lines are zip tied and finalized where they're gonna be, but roughly where they run, and then up to the firewall right there. So guys, that's our fuel system in a nutshell. We're ready to do the setup wizard and fire this thing up. I have Isaac picking up 10 gallons of gas because we drained everything out, and we'll throw that in there and we'll see what she does. It's a moment of truth, guys. We've got the setup wizard instructions up and we're ready to go. We have got switched ignition power wired up like you guys saw. We have all of our connectors where they should be. Our fuel system is in place. If we're not mistaken, we should be ready to fire this up. Now, if you watch our other video on this rig, we've done a lot to it. You can see we don't have our brake booster in, our brake master cylinder.
Sorry, hood rats. This might be confusing. First, let me introduce myself. I am Ollie, the hood rat's AI butler. What Nicholas is just about to say will contradict what you just saw earlier on in the video. That is due to the fact that Nicholas is an ignoramus who decided to lump all of the brake footage and all of the engine footage together separately. This in turn caused timeline discrepancies that you now have to sit through. On behalf of the Hood Rats team, I sincerely offer my deepest apologies. Peace out.
Our steering gearbox, our power steering pump. There's a lot we've been doing to this truck, but we've got everything we need to get this to fire up and to get the sniper system to work. So I'm gonna walk you guys through it real quick. Here I have the 3.5-inch display, and I'm going to key the ignition on real quick, and we're going to see what she says, what happens. Now, it says in the instructions that the first time you key this on, before you do the calibration, the fuel pump will not run. The old one, the Sniper one, after it was calibrated, you could hear the fuel pump run every time you keyed the ignition on. I heard no fuel pump turn on. I heard no fuel pump turn on when we keyed the ignition on, so we know that it needs to do calibration. And you can see it's telling us to run the calibration wizard. We are going to go to the wizard, sniper wizard. Sniper type 2. Next. Number of cylinders, we're obviously 8. Oh, so back. Got 8 cylinders. Our displacement is 390. You can type it in here. Yeah. And that's telling us our file name that we're going to be doing. So I'm going to click start. It's uploading. There's our fuel pump. I see our fuel line move. Why was our pump running so long? Uh-oh. We just blew out our regulator. Friggin' A! Look at that. Right there. Oh, that guy right there. Okay, we had a massive fuel leak, guys. It came from the plug in the back of the regulator right here. We used that that high temp sealant, thread sealant, and honestly, I don't think it was a good call. We didn't let it set up long enough. So we're gonna use this instead. This is yellow gas line tape. And for all those haters that are gonna say, you can't use that, that's only for natural gas. Look it, right here, it says that this is for use on threaded joints of metal pipe, blah, 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 in assemblies handling gasoline, petroleum, oils, propane, butane, naphtha, benzene, kerosene, natural gas, blah, blah, blah. This stuff is safe to put on these fittings. So I think this will be better because this stuff doesn't have to set up. It's immediate. What we do have to be careful is there's going to be residual pressure in here. I don't want to get sprayed with gas or get gas on my manifold. There we go. You can see it just blew, it pushed all that stuff out. See how it's all gone down at the base of the threads? Just blew out. So clean this off real good. And we'll set that in there and we'll try and fire this thing up. Hopefully it works. We're threading this guy back in. Got the pipe tape on it. I'm gonna give her some extra beans. Show her I mean business. Put our hose clamp back on and we'll pressurize this again and see if she doesn't hold pressure. Okay, there we go. And there we go, guys. Just leave it on. There we go, she ain't leaking. Note to self, don't rush the high temp thread sealant. Let it set up. So we're gonna change those other two fittings out with thread tape as well. That way we know that it's good to go. I was not planning on firing this tonight. I didn't think we'd get there. So we're ready to fire up. Let's do it. Hold up, what's going on? Screw me, guys. Screw this. This is stupid.
Stay tuned for next week's episode. See if Nick will ever be happy again. Thanks for watching and peace out.
I just can't take it anymore. Ugh.